the effort to share your stories with us. They're truly heartbreaking. I want to extend my condolences to the witnesses who have lost family members to criminal activity. I'm an attorney, I've been a champion against violence against women, and have tried to work to do everything that I can in all communities, but also in immigrant communities, to make sure that we stop the scourge of violence against women. And I stand with my colleagues for any way that we can do bipartisan work in this area. I also want to point out, I'm from North Carolina, so we're not a border state. And we've had incidences of illegal immigrants who have killed not just innocent victims, but also members of law enforcement. We're celebrating the anniversary of that, in that tragedy in my district right now. Immigration doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's a result of a lot of forces that push people from their native countries and pull them to ours. And perhaps one of the greatest forces is our American labor market. And I appreciate the comments of Mr. Boudreau, understanding that there are labor issues in this country that bring people here and that opportunity. And our economy relies on foreign workers and to fill some jobs, particularly in times of low unemployment. And that is one of the times that we're having right now. And migrants, the ones who don't perpetrate these horrible crimes, take a lot of risks traveling to the United States to seek a better life because they know their labor's needed. And employers in my own district are begging for legal pathways that have the kinds of background checks and review that I know you're asking for. And this is particularly in the agricultural area, as we've discussed, and also in construction. And I am 100% for checking everybody out when they come to the border. However, excessive criminalization of immigration inhibits labor flow, and to only focus on that side keeps us from being able to do the kinds of background checks that we need to do. And what's happened that we've seen, particularly in the agriculture community, is that seasonal workers in decades past who could come temporarily now feel like they have to stay the entire time in order to do the work that they want to do because they don't have that free flow back and forth. And the criminalization of immigration and the increasingly limited legal channels to come to the United States, particularly for seasonal jobs, has led to a growth in criminal enterprises, and we've discussed that. And we absolutely must crack down on those criminal enterprises. Those criminal enterprises result in human trafficking, drug trafficking, trafficking in firearms. They hurt the immigrants, they hurt our citizens, and they hurt the fabric of our communities. So I agree with my colleagues who have said that comprehensive immigration reform would address all of these issues, the issues at the border, the issues with trafficking, and then the issues in our labor force. And if we could create more legal pathways and ways to create an incentive to check people's backgrounds before they come to the United States. Legal pathways would also ensure that migrants coming to work in the U.S. are completely vetted before they're able to integrate into our communities, and would allow their skills and labor to fill the needs that we have and hopefully reduce crime in the future. My first question is for Ms. Lopez, and I only have 15 seconds. To the extent that you're able, can you comment on the typical employment prospects of many migrants, and would you describe the contributions that they make to the local communities they settle?
Sure. I can tell you that the biggest impediment for them is obtaining work authorization. Currently, there are significant backlogs in the processing of those applications. However, the majority of them, when they do find, are able to obtain work authorization, they do tend to work in lower income fields. Typically, agriculture is a very common example. We have a lot of people, not very many of the immigrants actually stay in El Paso. The vast majority leave El Paso, and they tend to, we see them settle in North Carolina, South Carolina, other places where there's agricultural work. And then we also see a lot of people who have advanced degrees and then are able to get those recognized in the United States and continue on with their being a doctor or a nurse or that type of work as well.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me the extra time.
My home state colleague yields back. I recognize the gentleman from Wisconsin, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.